Well, what do you know? Here we are back again. The Champion Brothers broadcast on the ChampCast network, and we're going to talk some Southern gospel tonight. How about that? Hey, and brother cousin Scott is joining me tonight. How you doing, Scott?
I'm doing just fine. How about you?
I think I will make it. So yes, Chris is missing tonight. I know I took my time out when Scott came in one week when I wasn't
Mhm.
available. This week, Chris is not available. So if you happen to see when the broadcast was scheduled, it said something was festering and interesting picture there. I'm not, and no, I can't
Well,
tie that to Southern gospel music at all. But
no, but hey, I'm just thankful for once Chris let a picture be posted without his toupee and without any makeup or whatever. That's just Chris and the raw. I mean, that's what they got. So
there
hey,
you go. I hear you. Yeah. Uh huh. Okay. I like that. Yeah, I do.
yeah,
Now,
okay,
one of Chris's passions, really, that things he really likes to do is community theater. He's done it for years and in multiple states in multiple theaters, and he's actually away tonight auditioning for another one of those, and he's auditioning for the part of Uncle Fester in I
I
believe
can't
it's
wait.
Adam's Family the musical. I believe is what it's called,
Yeah,
and
and it looks like the production is scheduled for July the 28th and 31st. I just found that, Neil, at
oh,
the
okay.
Freedom Theater in Winfield, Alabama. So
Yep, they're in Winfield, Alabama. So that's what Chris is away doing tonight. So
yeah,
he'll be back in some more weeks and he can tell you more details about that if you want to go see Chris act, which Chris acts all the time. But if you want to go
yes,
see him act as Uncle Fester, you might want to go that night. So
yeah.
anyway, but yeah, we're going to talk some Southern gospel though, just like we always do. Pretty much talk about memories we have, talk about the music we like, which is Southern gospel music. And Scott just fits right in there and doing that very thing. And
Yeah.
glad to have him aboard tonight. So Scott actually had the idea for kind of the direction that we'll take tonight. So why don't you tell him a little bit about it, Scott?
Yeah, was talking with Brother Neal and just thinking along directions and just kind of thought about both Neil, Chris, and I, or all three of us, Neil, Chris, and I have a lot of singing heroes through the years growing up, both professionally. And I think I'm going to hit on some of those and then also locally. And I think Neil's going to kind of take that focus. But we're going to take a trip down memory lane and talk about some of the people that influenced us that we admire and tell you a little bit about why.
Yeah, sounds good. I love the idea. I just love talking about people that have
Hmm.
influenced us and people that we have respected. Growing up around this kind of music, and so yeah, this is going to be a fun ride. One thing I'll just I won't spend a lot of time right now, but y'all know what we're going to talk about. July the 23rd at the Fayette Civic Center. So keep that on your mind. We know you got it on the calendar if you've watched us before. If you don't, let tonight be the night. There it is. Scott showing you right there where it's rolling right on by. And by the way, that's Scott right over there. If you're not sure, but Lefevre Quartet coming to Fayette Civic Center in Fayette, Alabama, July 23rd, 6 p.m. Chosen Witness will sing a few. The group I'm a part of, the group Chris is a part of, Faithful Friends will sing a few, and then we'll have a whole lot of the Lefevre Quartet, and we'll talk more about that. But we want to
Yeah.
make sure you got that on your calendar, and we hope there can be more and more and more and bigger singings there at that venue in Fayette, Alabama. So,
Yeah.
with that said, how about who was your first one on your list? Not necessarily the very favorite top of the list, but first one you want to talk about tonight as far as your heroes in Southern gospel music.
All righty. I think I'm going to start backwards a little bit. And I was thinking about some older folks from years gone by that I looked up to and that I admired. I really had a lot of names on the list. Even had some stories back and forth. Vestal Goodman, the Happy Goodman family, that was a group that really I enjoyed a lot with music. And it was later in my life that my grandmother, Jewel Bouldin, passed along that when she was growing up in Fife, Alabama, that one of her friends was Vestal Freeman, who actually that's Vestal Goodman. She was a Freeman before she married. Her brother Cat Freeman was also a singer, sung with the Statesmen, several groups, but they grew up in Fife, and my grandmother and Vestal had some sleepovers back in the day, so that was kind of
Wow,
cool.
that
And
is a cool connection. Yeah.
I always loved Vestal. She was such a sweet soul. She could pray the heavens down, and mercy, what a voice. So enjoyed her. And then moving on down, though, we've got some music lined up, and I think I'm going to start off with a group that influenced a lot of our present groups, the Cathedral Quartet. And Glenn Payne and George Yonts. They're two Hall of Famers, some of the best singers. George is definitely, to me, a top three or top five top bass singer of all time. It'd be hard to leave Glenn Payne out of your top five of all time lead singers. Wonderful singers, and definitely influenced there. But one thing that really hits me in thinking about heroes, and when you look up at someone for a hero, yes, sometimes it's the talent and they influence your singing style, but to me, it's the people, and it's the people they are. And George and Glenn were known through the industry of encouraging up and coming artists and singers and spending time with young folks. Neal, y'all sung with them a few times on stage, didn't you, back in the maybe Columbia and Around Boys years?
We did. Yeah, I distinctly remember one time, and it was in Carrollton, Alabama, at the high school football stadium on a trailer out on the football field, and that
Yeah.
was the first time I remember. And of course, me and Chris were part of the band, and
Mhm.
I played bass guitar. And George and Glenn I mean, they talked to us like we were their grandkids or like their sons. I mean, they were just so personable, so encouraging. Told us how glad they were to see us playing gospel music, and
Mhm.
yeah, just so friendly, just like we'd known them all our life, and that was the first time we'd ever met them in person.
Yeah, and you think about even in present day Southern gospel, some of your top groups. You have Legacy Five, who Scott Fowler and Roger Bennett founded that group, which was a spur off of the Cathedral Quartet.
Mhm.
Roger's passed on and gone, but Scott still has that. You hear Greater Vision. You got Gerald Wolfe, and he was a long time cat, and uh, and I know that he has attributed a lot of his group management style to what he learned from George and from Glenn and
Mhm.
Ernie Haas's signature sound. Ernie, being the tenor there, and just so many other people who have come off of that vein, and it's just proof that even though they're gone, that how much fingerprints are on Southern gospel today through George and Glenn and their influence.
Yeah, yeah. Good deal. So what song you wanna share with them tonight?
I think if I remember what I sent to you to queue up is a little upbeat song, and I think George and Glenn both have a few parts here and there, but I love to hear them sing "Climbing Higher and Higher." So can you kick that one off, Wichita?
Here we go, the Cathedral Quartet.
Once I was sinking sin, my soul was troubled within. A ladder was sent down to heaven after my sins were forgiven. Started out for higher ground, we climbed the ladder round by round. Well, I'm climbing higher and higher, and I won't come down. The first round was regeneration, still climbing. The second, justification, still climbing. The third, a happy confession, still climbing. And then the Holy Ghost took possession, still climbing. The next round was great tribulation, still climbing. And use your soul of glorification, still climbing. I'm climbing high and higher, and I won't come down. I'm gonna climb till I pass the sun, moon, and stars. Jupiter, Venus, Neptune, and Mars. I'll bid farewell to this old house of clay, and then we'll go running up the Milky White Way. First to heaven, I'm climbing round by round. Second heaven, I'm so high I never come down. Oh Lord, still climbing round by round. I'm climbing the higher ground. Well. The time that I pass, the sun, moon, and stars, Jupiter, Venus, Neptune, and Mars. I've bid farewell to this old house of clay, and then I'll go running up the Milky White Way. Just to live, I'm climbing around and around. I'm so high, I never come down. Still climbing around and around. So I'll never go on. Still running around, running for higher
Cathedral Quartet and climbing higher and higher. They just don't get no better than cathedrals and George and Glenn. Of course, that was the entire Cathedral Quartet, and that's not the song we wanted to play, and it played by itself, and I'm going to stop it. That's liable to happen again tonight, but that's all right.
That's all right. That's all right.
Yeah, George and Glenn, the two that Scott was really talking about there as being the heroes. There, Glenn on the left and George on the right as you view. And yeah, there was another picture. Yeah, that we wanted to share. Yeah, that was a painting done of George and Glenn, right?
Oh, it is. Back in, let's see, SGMA 1999 is when they got crunk up. I'm not really sure as far as the Hall of Fame goes. I'm not really sure, but sometime back in the late 90s, I believe, they put out, the Southern Gospel Music Association put out 3 different paintings. I know one was Hovey Lister. I think one was maybe some of the Easter family. And then they had this painting that was called Precious Memories of George and Glenn. And those, they sold those as kind of a fundraiser for the SGMA. And hey, I don't know how far out there this is reaching or anything, but if somebody has got one of those prints rolled up back in your closet, put up somewhere, and you would like to find a new home for it, dial 1-800 Scott Bouldin and yeah, let me know about it.
Here, this ain't the party line or the switch club or whatever here. I guess it is tonight. That's all right. Yeah.
Hey, yeah.
Reach out to him if you got one you'd like to share. So,
yeah. Something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. George and Glenn, they're just two no finer for sure. When I started thinking about my heroes, if you will, and I will say, yeah, but jump on in there and comment anybody that, when you're watching, add your comments in there. We'll see them come in. We can't see them all because we're doing 47 things at the same time. We don't have a TV staff over to the side doing all the button turning and all like that. So that's why I'm not always looking in the camera. And that's why sometimes something plays when it shouldn't and all like that. But hey, it's just us, and that's all you're going to get is just us. So
You're doing a good job.
But yeah, when I started thinking about the heroes, I mean, the first one that comes to my mind is my dad, Joe Champion. He was my favorite singer of a Southern gospel song, just no question about it. And obviously the influence he had, the leading and directing me in the world of Southern gospel music, making a way for me to be able to see, hear, and sing Southern gospel music is what he did. And like I say, there ain't nobody I'd rather hear sing a Southern gospel song. So I'll have to mention him first. And I'm going to play a song that I know we played it on a past broadcast, but just one of the ones I think of when I think of Dad, and that I've heard him, I did hear him sing it many times. I have played this myself, whether it be on my computer or in my vehicle or on some device with my earphones in. I couldn't tell you how many times. And that's the Colombian Quartet's version of the song Wasted Years.
That's great.
And so here he is, Joe Champion in Wasted Years.
Have you wondered alone on life's pathway? Have you lived without love, a life of tears? Have you searched for a great higher meaning? Or is your life filled with long wasted years? Wasted years, wasted years. Oh, how foolish as you walk on in darkness and fear. Turn around, oh, turn around. God is Search for wisdom and see understanding. There is someone who knows and always hears. So give it up, that load you're bearing, for you can't go on in a life of wasted years. Wasted years, wasted years. Oh, how foolish as you walk on in darkness and fear. Turn around, oh, turn around. God is calling, He's calling you from a life of wasted years. He's calling you from a life of wasted years.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I tell you, I was thinking and listening to that song and listening to Uncle Jake sing, and my takeaway is I can just hear, his placement and his tones were so pure. And how many times he talked to a hard-headed teenager named Scott, talking about putting it right here, where you're supposed to put those tones and getting up in the head. And I knew too much to listen, and that's developed some bad habits because of it. But I wish I had listened. What a singer! What a singer!
Yeah, boy. Yeah, that album cover on the far right standing is Avon Russian. One of our Southern Gospel dads, as Chris had called him, and then seated is Mark Jones, and then the next one's there seated in the front is my dad, Joe Champion. That picture was interesting because if you look, he had like a little goatee, like a little beard, but if you look, it looks like his beard goes all the way back, and that's because of the shadow of that handrail over to the right. Look to the right of Avon and see that white handrail? That cast that shadow right across Dad's face, right at his beard, and so it came out looking like he had much more of a beard than he really did. But I always thought that was interesting. But anyway, I didn't want to call show no extra to know that little inside fact.
Hey, that's good information.
Yeah, boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not sure how useful, but it is information. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was looking at the comments during the song too, and my buddy Jason Baines, he's bragging because when I said something about the precious memory print, he had to post on there that he's got it. So nobody likes a bragger, but anyway.
That's, there you go, Jason. Yeah, lay it out there, buddy. Lay it out there. Yeah.
And then he got on me. He actually sent me a message when we were off there because he had caught me taking a sip of water out of my jar, and he was wanting to know what the clear liquid was in my mason jar. And it has been a rough week at the bank, but I promise you I'm not drinking on the job. It is water. And so Jason had to give me – I like a heckler. You know what I'm saying? I like it. It makes things lively.
There you go. There you go. Hey, Megan Edgeworth is watching again tonight, so glad to have you, Megan. She says, can I mention the singing this weekend? Well, sure, Megan. Just put the info in the chat, and people will see it, and we'll get back around to it, and we'll mention it as well. So glad you're listening tonight. Yes, so, heroes, huh? I bet you had another one or two, didn't you?
My turn. Yeah. I'm going to do one more older one. I mentioned Vestal, and I mentioned George and Glenn, and another one. And again, it's the same vein. Now, you talk about an influential singer. How many people have tried to mimic the voice placement and the over enunciation and the mannerisms while he's singing and the facial expressions of Jake Hess, longtime singer? His fame, so to speak, would be with the Statesman Quartet. To me, he was a part of what I would have, there are about 2 or 3 quartets that I could list that I think were the perfect quartet with blend, with chemistry, stage showmanship, everything. And the Statesmen that had, of course, Hovey playing piano and Big Chief on bass, Doy Ott, which I think there's two baritone singers that are at the top of the list, and that's Doy and Mark Trammell. But Doy was baritone. Jake was lead, and Diver Crumpler was tenor, and of course you had Rosie come in there, and I think Cat Freeman had a little spell in there. But that quartet to me is, if you were putting a blueprint out for a quartet, was boom. I mean the quartet, and Jake's sound was a huge part of that, and just what a communicator when he sung. What a communicator, and I know. That's one thing that Glenn used to hit on when he was teaching young folks. It's great to learn the placements. It's great to learn the lyrics and to be able to sing it right. But you got to feel what you're singing. You got to know what you're singing, and you got to share what you have in your heart and your mind with the audience. And Jake was a pro at that, and he was another one that would spend time with young artists. And he kind of gained a second fame. Later in years, he had a lot of heart problems and health problems through years. He was a piece of the Masters 5 for a period of time in the 80s. And then in his latter years, back with the Gaither revival, when Gaither brought back some of the heroes, so to speak, in the Gaither series, Jake kind of had a second career traveling around with Bill Gaither. So that was good. But yeah, he's definitely one of my heroes.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, Gaither, just like he did with a lot of the older artists, he introduced them to a new generation who fell in love with them again. They didn't even, if they didn't really follow Southern gospel music, they probably had never heard of Jake Hess until they saw him with Gaither, and then they learned a whole lot. You can hear a whole lot after that for sure. So, what we got Jake singing tonight? What do you think?
I think we've got queued up and ready to go. Again, this is another more upbeat song. I tried to get some, sometimes when you choose, and most of these singers' signature songs are ballads, the slower power songs. But I really liked the way that Jake on one of his latter projects, I think it was "Got to Get a God Set." I can't remember the name of it, but one of his latter projects, he put out a cut of an old song, an old classic, "Got a Newborn Feeling." You got that one queued up?
Let's go for it.
All right, take her off.
I got a lot to tell you about the Lord today. How he took me in and washed my sins away. Filled me with the Spirit and amazing grace. Promised me a mansion and a resting place. Told me how the angel band would shout and sing. How we gonna make the hills and valleys ring. Maybe that's a reason that I feel so fine. All my weary troubles have been left behind. I got a newborn feeling dwelling in my heart today. Because the love of Jesus came into my heart to stay. I never realized that I had lost my way until the love of Jesus washed my sins away. I got a newborn feeling in my heart today. When I stop to think about the modern day, how the worldly people pass their time away, makes me kind of wonder what the future holds, how we're ever gonna reach the sinful souls. We can only reach them when we kneel and pray, try to show a picture of the judgment day, live a life before them that will testify, prove we have a blessing from the throne on high. I got a newborn feeling dwelling in my heart today, because the love of Jesus came into my heart to stay. I never realized that I had lost my way until the love of Jesus washed my sins away. I got a newborn feeling in my heart today. I got a newborn feeling dwelling in my heart today. Because the love of Jesus Jesus came into my heart to stay. I never realized that I had lost my way until the love of Jesus washed my sins away. I got a new heart, feeling in my heart today. I got a new heart, feeling in my heart today.
Yeah, loving some Jake Hess and Newborn Feeling.
And that cut was a later in life cut, so I was listening to it, and maybe the voice didn't quite have as much power as some of his older singing days, but he did throw in one of his Y's in there toward the end, and one of those over pronunciations. So you got to hear that. But yep, we love Jake.
He definitely did. Yeah, and we've typically, when we played songs, shown the album cover that it was from, and we didn't do that this time. That was just a really good picture of Jake that we got up there. That song was not on that album. He recorded that song multiple times over his career, and like you say, that was probably one of the ones that was, the time that he was with Gaither.
Right.
And the Gaither Homecoming crew, but he recorded numerous times. But that's just a good picture of him right there with that pose with the two fingers going up like he would do so often while he was singing, and love me some Jake Hess. I mean, if you like Southern gospel music, how could you not love Jake Hess?
I think Jake has influenced Mark Jones a little bit. I think I've seen Mark with that pose a time or two with the hands up like that, hadn't I?
Oh yeah,
I love you, Mark.
One of our photo shoots, particular that we did, the Chosen Witness did. We did some individual shots too, and he actually used that pose in that shot. So
I love it.
Oh my.
All right, what you got up next? Oh,
there is a singing coming up.
Yeah.
Tell them what you know about that while I do something else right quick.
I sure will. We are looking so forward to July the 23rd at the Fett Civic Center in Fett, Alabama, 6 p.m. The Lefevre Quartet is going to be singing. It's going to be a great night. You also have Chosen Witness and Faithful Friends, a great night of singing. There's no admission that will be charged. We will be receiving a love offering for the Lefevre Quartet, and we're just looking so forward to having that great group of guys. You got some that some would say are kind of getting into that range of present day heroes for many in that group. With Jay Perrick, who sung with Gold City Quartet and Master's Voice for years, and now Lefevre's, and of course you had Mike Lefevre, who sung with Gold City, and of course part of the historical Lefevre family, and then his son Jordan and Will Lane, and you got Brian Elliott on the piano, and just one of the best quartets in Southern gospel music today, bar none. So you don't want to miss that. Mark it on your calendars. July 23rd, 6 p.m., Fett Civic Center in Fett, Alabama.
Good job. Thanks for telling them, Scott. Yeah, Scott and SBM Ministries is a part of that, of bringing these Southern gospel singings to Fayette, Alabama. So y'all come, y'all support, y'all share the word. Y'all let people know that it's going to happen, and encourage them to come. And we will definitely, the name of Jesus will be lifted up that night. I can guarantee you that. So come and join us. And if you know somebody maybe that, some harmony and some good music, good picking and stuff, they might like that. Bring them on. If they've never met Jesus, they may meet him that night. So
amen.
That would be marvelous. Sure would.
Amen.
All right, so talking about some heroes, another one that I thought of that, and if we'd have been keeping statistics, which we hadn't, of the most played artists and most played albums since me and Chris have been doing this, which is now, I think this is number 12, I think. So my goodness, time passes. But this next group, we played them a bunch, and we've talked about them a bunch because they were our heroes, and we've talked about that. And I couldn't let a hero's time go by without talking about the Bryant brothers.
Oh yeah,
quartet from right there in Millport, Alabama, and specifically Mr. Irby and Mr. Pat Bryant.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Floyd loved him. He did that high tenor, loved him as well. And of course, Ray Robinson, at one time, Mr. Fred Bryant sang in the group. That's right. A cousin, Arnold Russian, sang bass at one time. And I think Avon Russian even did a little stint with the Bryant brothers singing bass, which he was another first cousin. And of course, Mr. Burnett Skelton playing that piano. But tonight I just wanted to talk about Mr. Pat, Mr. Irby. I mean, both of them always just again was just so personable. Just they really showed interest in me and Chris and us being in Southern gospel music. I can remember being a time, I believe we were in Ewan, Alabama, and being like in the back, actually outside, almost in an alleyway. I can't remember what the venue was, but it was in Ewan, and we were kind of behind the building because you entered right at the back and walked right out on the stage where we were singing. Somebody in the Ewan area may know where I'm talking about because I don't know where I'm talking about, but I can just kind of picture where we were. And, we just got to talking about older songs and this and that. And all of a sudden, Mr. Irby took off singing a song. Of course, Mr. Pat joined in. I was standing there, so I tried to fill in some harmony. And that was my one time I got to sing with the Bryant brothers in that alley behind that building. But yeah, they were just they were always really, all the Bryant brothers were always so encouraging to us. But I picked a song actually that Mr. Pat sings lead on the song pretty much all the way through, first verse and chorus, and Mr. Irby is featured. He solos on the second verse, and that was it was always one of my favorite Bryant brothers songs. I heard them do it many times live, and when they recorded their one album, man, don't I wish I had an entire discography of Bryant brothers music, but they recorded this one album, and this was one of them, and I want to share it. We shared it before, and hey, I might share it every time we go on from now on. Who knows? Because it's that good. Listening to Bryant brothers singing, there's a difference.
Oh yeah.
Some people go to church most every Sunday morning, for they believe there is a God above. They live the golden rule, their Bibles too are warm, their hearts are filled with brotherhood and love.
But there's a difference.
There's a difference.
There's a difference.
There's a difference. You can have religion, go to church and pray, and still be lost in sin.
For there's a difference.
There's a difference.
There's a difference.
There's a difference. If you want to see heaven, if you want real joy, then you must be born again. The Savior said one day, not everyone who speaks the name of God shall enter heaven's gate. You must be made anew, salvation you must see. Have faith in Him before it is too late.
For there's a difference.
There's a difference.
There's a difference.
There's a difference. You can have religion, go to church and pray, and still be lost in sin.
For there's a difference.
There's a difference.
There's a difference.
There's a difference. If you want to see heaven, if you want real joy, then you must be born again. Oh, there's a difference. There's a difference. There's a difference. There's a difference. You can have religion, go to church and pray, and still be lost in sin. Oh, there's a difference. There's a difference. There's a difference. There's a difference. If you want to see heaven, if you want real joy, then you must be born again.
How about some Bryant brothers? And there is a difference. Those fellows could lay it down, no doubt about it. On the album cover I'm showing there on the far left is Mr. Pat Bryant, which is one of the ones I was talking about. And next to him is Mr. Floyd Bryant, who took the lead on that last chorus when the tenor took the lead. And then next over, second from the right, is Mr. Irby Bryant that I talked about earlier. And then, of course, Mr. Ray Robinson on the far right and Burnett Skelton seated. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't talk about Southern gospel heroes and people that I have great respect for without mentioning the Bryant brothers, and tonight specifically Mr. Pat and Mr. Irby. Yeah, I could talk all night just about the Bryant brothers, but
yeah,
let's move right along.
Well, I was just going to say one thing too. You know, in those days, the early days of Columbians and then moving into Bama Boys, I wasn't. Now, my teenage years, I was every weekend with you guys, but you know, I would just make trips back and forth when we would come down, and I thought those guys were legend. I mean, they were big in my eyes. Watching, you know, I thought those old men were just like superheroes. You know, back then, a kid, and just I loved it. And they were always extremely nice. And Mr. Irby's one of those, I think, that could have done it for a living if he had wanted to.
No doubt. What a range, and just spot on pitch wise. And yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, my apologies to anybody watching if I start jumping around or kind of dragging. If y'all want to, is it? I don't know if it's bad to pray for internet or if that's unbiblical or what, but we are in bad need of Freedom Fiber coming on down to South Lamar County and getting us hooked up all the way. I'm having some issues, but hopefully it's not too annoying or aggravating. Y'all just bear with us. I apologize. You won't go ahead.
No, I was going to say, yeah, we are completely 100% dependent upon the internet. And if it goes down, we go down. And there's
That's
not
right.
much we can do about it. But
All right.
let's
All
move
right.
on.
So I'm looking at time here. Do you think that I will do one more or two more, brother?
You're going to do one more right now. So just roll on.
Just
Two,
roll.
two,
Okay.
two will be fine. Yeah, just keep
Okay.
rolling.
I'm gonna go ahead and let's move a little bit into the present Southern gospel world, and that's more of people that I have hung around and been around. And I'm gonna throw several names out there. There's so many folks that, again, that I would put into the legendary status when it comes to singing ability, when it comes to influence on the industry, and of course, some of the key factors that I look in is how much time do they put into people. I was thinking about Randy Shelnut. I know he's a friend to Neal and Chris too, but Randy is
Yeah.
he's an amazing singer. He's an amazing musician. He can play anything that makes a tune, basically. He's an amazing student of harmony. They talk about the Ed O'Neill University, where so many people have come through the Dixie Melody Boys. How many singers have come through the Dixie Echoes and
Oh, yeah.
studied under Randy and then moved on to, another group or, another region, something like that. Just
Right.
and
Right.
he puts the time into it, teaching people to sing correctly. And he's one, several more. Karen Peck Gooch. She's one of those that just super genuine. I remember at NQC last year, she's popular because Karen's just so good to everyone. And I watched her. There was a line waiting to see her because I was in there. I had a couple of the Singing News trading cards I wanted to get her to sign for my collection, and I was waiting in line.
Yep.
And a lady came up with a need, and Karen talked to her, and right there just stopped everything, didn't shuffle the line, and spent time in deep tearful prayer with this lady, just spending the time with this person that she
Yeah.
probably met for the first time. She genuinely cares about people. I remember
Mhm.
we went up to NQC one time and Garrett was with me as like a 9, 10-year-old. I don't know. He was a kid and he had stars in his eyes and he was getting autographs on pictures and all that. And she looked at him and she said, "Can I come around there and hug you?" And Garrett just like, but he never
Yeah.
forgot her putting that time. And
Right.
so
Right.
I'm going to transition to the one that I want us to play, and
Okay.
that is someone that I do count as a friend, Arthur Rice. He is now formally the lead singer for the Kingdom Heirs Quartet. He was with them for about 27 years, singing at Dollywood and a few dates
Mhm.
on the road. He
Mhm.
has sung with Squire Parson and the trio. He sung with the Kingsmen. That's where he gained his first notoriety, so to speak, playing
Oh,
bass
yeah.
and being the pinch hitter for Big Jim Hamill and singing with them.
Yes.
But Arthur is also president of the Southern Gospel Music Association. Arthur is the epitome of the lead singer. He is Mr. Lead Singer in my book. Uh, Consistency, vocal ability, range, like just unbelievable. Talent, musicianship. He does a lot of studio work in his room recording studio. Just a legend. I feel like
Yeah.
he's a legend. But the thing again that draws me to Arthur is what I have seen out of him in putting time into. It was amazing watching this past week as he retired and came off out of the group with the Kingdom Heirs as he's transitioning into music ministry. The outpouring of love on social media and the stories, the personal stories of how he encouraged people, he put time into people. I mean, with me, long time back, I think 2015, when Kingdom Heirs was looking for a baritone, I went down to Wilmer, Alabama, and set up a time to audition with them. Which I mean, that was probably a long stretch and probably something that was way above my pay grade, but still, Arthur really encouraged me then. It was so gracious. And I have video of that. I'll never forget that. We kind of had the friendship move on from there. And he didn't know me. Basically, I know nobody's a nobody, but when it comes into somebody to benefit him, I was nobody. I mean, I'm not anybody in the industry that he could profit, by putting time into me, and encouraged me, got on my podcast. I watched him with the three Heath brothers and so many young groups, how he's poured into those guys and lifted them up and
Hmm.
promoted them
Yeah.
in the industry. And I've seen him with my own son back in the day when Garrett was little, and we'd go to NQC the time Arthur would take. And we had dinner with Arthur and his wife Tammy back in March. And it's funny, I joke about this, but when Arthur came in and Garrett was with us as an 18-year-old, Janice and I might as well have not been there, because Arthur was so focused on Garrett, showing
Wow.
him attention,
Wow.
encouraging him, loving on him. And it's just amazing. And those kind of people, good singers are a dime a dozen. Great men and great people are not. And I mean, they're hard to find. And I think the world of Arthur, and I've talked too long about him, but he is one of my
That's
personal
fine.
heroes. And I think it's definitely one for young artists to look up to. And he's still going to be very connected to Southern gospel music as president of the Southern Gospel Music Association, and being a top fan and encourager as he serves at Trinity Baptist in Asheville, North Carolina.
So let's hear Arthur sing one with the Kingdom Heirs.
Yeah, this is one of his signature songs. He began singing it with the Kingsmen, but he put it in the show with the Kingdom Heirs and sung it many times. It's "I Sing Because," written by Squire Parsons.
I've been singing about my Lord for many years. I've sung when I've been happy, even some when I've had tears. I've even had folks who've asked me if it's all been just a show. But the reason I'm still singing, I want the world to know. I sing because there is an empty grave. I sing because there is a power that saves. I sing because His grace is real to me. I sing because I know I'm not alone. I sing because someday I'm going home, where I shall sing through all eternity. I've sung to those walking through a fiery trial, and I've watched their saddened faces as they turn into happy smiles. I've even had to bow my head and whisper, Lord, do the same for me. And I'm so glad that I can tell you that He's given victory. I sing because there is an empty grave. I sing because there is a power that saves. I sing because His grace is real to me, real to me. I sing because I know I'm not alone. I sing because someday I'm going home, where I shall sing through all eternity. I sing because I know I'm not alone. I sing because someday I'm going home, where I shall sing through all eternity.
I Sing Because, featuring Mr. Arthur Rice. Fine singing right there, no doubt.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I know one thing, that picture you popped up there, I'd hate to have to stand next to him every night because he was a tall drink of water too. And that
Right.
kind of intimidates a little runt like me.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, my oldest, I guess, Arthur Rice memory is when he joined the Kingsman Quartet. He was playing bass, and then Big Jim would get him up to sing some, and we we went and saw the Kingsmen at the Ferguson Center in on the campus of the University of Alabama, Ferguson
Yeah.
Center. And it was after not too long after Arthur had joined, and of course Wayne Maynard, I believe, is who he replaced. And I loved Wayne Maynard. He's playing, he's singing. Of course, Wayne, recorded the great song, one of Mama's favorites, "Hey Mama," "Child, Child, How Do You Wonder?" And when we got there that night, like I don't even think I realized that Wayne wasn't with them anymore. But we got there and Wayne wasn't there, and here's this new guy, and it was Arthur Rice. And at that time, and I had the thought, oh man, can you hear Wayne sing "Child, Child"?
Hmm.
Let me tell you, Big Jim brought up Arthur Rice, and he forevermore wore out "Child, Child."
yeah.
I mean, he had the entire place on their feet. He encored it, I think, twice. I mean, it was fantastic lifting up that song. And so that's my very first memory of Arthur Rice. So yeah, he made quite an impression just with his pure talent at that time. Of course, I'd never talked to him or anything, but man, that singing was spot on.
Mm-hmm.
I distinctly remember that. Hey, this singing, yeah, we're going to keep telling you about it because we want you to come. July the 23rd in Fayette, Alabama at the Fayette Civic Center. We're going to start at 6 o'clock. That'll give you an extra hour's sleep headed towards Sunday morning than if we started at 7. So
Thank you.
We're thinking about you. Yeah, that back in March when we had the Dixie Echo, we started at 7 and we decided, you know what, let's give the people an extra hour here. Let's start at 6. Either that or it gives us an extra hour to sing. Just depends on how the Spirit leads that night. You never know. But 6 o'clock, Fayette Civic Center, Fayette, Alabama, July the 23rd. That's a Saturday night. Y'all come and join us.
Yes.
The Lefevre Quartet is coming to town. There'll be a little bit of Chosen Witness, a little bit of Faithful Friends. Scott's, if he's there, he's scared to death because he don't know what me or Chris is going to say at any time. So you never know what he's going to be doing on stage. We might have him doing cartwheels one time. That might be entertaining. But but anyway,
Call the record service.
y'all come and enjoy it with us. My dream, which you might say, well, I don't care about what your dream is, Neal. Well, that's okay. You don't have to. I'm still going to tell you though if you're watching this.
I care.
Dreamed of seeing the Fayette Civic Center packed to capacity for a Southern Gospel concert. And this is not a dream like we're filling a stadium or, thousands and thousands. It holds about 350. And I know we can do that. And we're bringing in talent that deserves that and a whole lot more space. I hope it gets so big that people are wanting to get in, and we have to find us another venue in Fayette, Alabama, but
Great.
Y'all come and y'all share and y'all be a part of that night. It won't cost you a dime to get into the door. There'll be no charge of admission. We will give you an opportunity if you want to share in the cost and give towards it, because yes, there's cost involved, but we made sure going into that it could be covered, and it is. But if you can help, that will offset that coverage, and others that are going to make sure it is covered would not have to give as much. Just to be honest, we're not trying to make any money. Nobody's going to pocket your money except that group that we're bringing in. And this one is the Lefevre Quartet. These guys do it for a living. They feed their families with it, and we're going to make sure they're taken care of that night. So,
amen.
Write it down. Did I say that? Yeah, I think I said that. Write it down. July 23rd. Yeah. That's what it sounds like. Absolutely. Hey, how about another hero here? We got time for at least a couple more.
Come on.
And another one that I thought about, of course, everyone that Scott mentioned to me, which is some of the ones he's talking about, they would definitely be on my list as well. So I had to start. Let me think beyond Scott's list, because he's listed a bunch of mine. So let me think beyond that. And then I started thinking about the ones local that not everybody knows about. And one that did come to mind was with the Colombian Quartet, also sang with my dad, and that was Mr. Don Shepherd.
Yeah.
Don, he took up with me and Chris a lot. I have fond memories. Don he wasn't easy. He wasn't soft. If he told you to do something, you better do it. And if you did it wrong, he'd tell you. And I appreciate that now. I might
Yeah.
not have as a snotty nose thought I knew everything teenager, but I appreciate it now.
Absolutely.
And Don's what a soulful voice Don
Mhm.
Shepard had when he come to singing. He was also a drummer. Could wear the drums out, which is what he did with the Colombian Quartet prior to my dad joining. He moved from the drums to a singing position then. And yeah, what a soul-filled singer. And I want to share one of him tonight. Of course, he later sang with the Bama Boys when Dad separated from the Colombians and started the Bama Boys, really so me and Chris could have the opportunity to sing. We just been playing. Don came as well, so he was one of the original Bama Boys. Was Don Shepard. So yeah, I want to share a song that Colombians recorded, a Dottie Rambo song that it's been recorded a million times, but let me tell you, Don Shepard could sing this song and put that soul right in there with it. So listen to Don sing, "I've never been this homesick before."
There's a light in the window, the table spread in splendor, someone standing by the open door. I can see a crystal river, so I must be near forever. Lord, I've never been this homesick before. I see the bright light shine, it's just about home time. Well, I can see my father standing at the door. This whole world's been a wilderness, and I'm ready for deliverance. Oh Lord, I've never been this homesick before. I can see the family gathered, old sweet faces, all familiar. No one's old or feeble anymore. This lonesome heart of mine is crying, oh, gonna spread these wings for flying. Lord, I've never been this homesick before. I see the bright light shine, it's just about home time. Well, I can see my father standing at the door. This world's been a wilderness, and I'm ready for deliverance. Oh Lord, I've never been this homesick before. Oh Lord, I've never been this homesick before.
Don Shepard and the Colombian Quartet. I've never been this homesick before. That's what happens when you don't stop it. It just wants to go on by itself, and that's all right. Yeah, on the album cover there, that's That Old Ship, which is a song written by Don Shepard. It was the title of that album, but second from the left there is Don. And lots of good memories of Don and being a part of the Colombians and the Bama Boys. You can just tell as he's coming into some of those lines, you can just hear that low end of his voice. He was a very low lead, which was the foundation of that low harmony sound the Colombian Quartet had. And matter of fact, he was the bass singer in the original Bama Boys. Don dropped a bass with us when we first started, but what a range. You heard some of them notes he was hitting there on those choruses with "I've never been this homesick before," and he did good range. good man, another one that helped raise me and Chris during that time. I was going to ask you, Scott, and we'll get to another one of your heroes after that before we go. But what is your earliest memory of the Colombian Quartet?
Whew. Let me try to put an age to it. So the years of the Colombian Quartet, remind me of those again.
About 78, 79, right in
Okay.
there.
Yeah,
Hmm.
because I was
Late
born in
70s.
73, and I really think that my earliest memories would have been in that kind of beginning era. I remember JJ playing piano, but I
Hmm.
guess the most vivid memory, and it's just because of the bigness it was to me for little bit of nothing from nowhere. Ain't never been nowhere, but when we would come down there, and y'all would let me go to the concerts with you guys on that bus. And I mean, I know the bus was kind of a rundown bus, and y'all had a lot of issues out of it. But to the little, 5-year-old kid, hey, that was awesome. So to me, that's my memory is jumping on the bus and just feeling like I was a bigwig, riding with you guys.
Cool. Oh yeah, I can definitely remember you being on there. I think I can remember you seeing a little bit, big eyed, as you looked around that bus and all. I can remember that. I sure can. It
Absolutely.
was cool. It was cool. Hey, yeah, well, we are here with you tonight, Neal and brother cousin Scott, because Chris is away tonight, and he
Hmm.
had Chris is pursuing another one of the things he loves, which is community theater, and he's
Yeah.
actually I think auditioning tonight for a part in an upcoming production. He'll tell you more about it because he'll be back on here with us next time we get on, if Lord's willing. And but yeah, well, we just Scott and I are just talking about some more memories and sharing some of the heroes that we think of, people that we admired and that we looked up to, growing up in gospel music, and even in
Mm.
some cases actually knew. Of course, mine was some local people from around Lamar County, and Scott's, a lot of his are the professional. But that's one of the thing about Southern gospel artists that are nationally known, even worldly known, that travel around everywhere singing, but they're approachable.
Oh yeah.
You can't just walk up to the band Alabama and just start talking to them. At least not in their prime, you couldn't. You
Right.
might could now. You might catch them in Fort Payne and might could walk up and speak to them, but in their prime you couldn't. Some big pop star, country star, but hey, these, even though they're just people too, they're put in such a way and shielded in such a way you can't just approach them. In Southern gospel music people, you can. Now some don't choose to connect as much as others, and
Right.
I think the ones that have meant the most to us over the years are those that did connect, and that we're
Absolutely.
sharing about. So who else you got on? I think we got time for at least one more that
Okay.
you had mentioned to me.
Again, so many names flooded my mind, but one I guess that I would say is a present day hero, and it is off of the Glenn and George tree, so to speak, from the cathedrals. But Gerald Wolfe,
Oh
he
yeah,
left the
sure.
cathedrals, and for a little while, maybe I don't know, 2 3 years, he did a solo ministry, and then he formed Greater Vision originally with Chris Allman on tenor, and then another former cathedral, Mark Trammell, on baritone. There's been some changing up through the years, but Gerald has continued to lead or grown, I guess, so to say, it would be the best way to put it, to be one of the new leaders in the Southern gospel industry. He serves on several
Mhm.
boards, and along with leading Greater Vision, and he is on the National Quartet Convention board. And also, gospel music hymn sing is a big production now going along, almost reminiscent, kind of in the style of the way the Gaither series would travel around. The gospel hymn sing is doing that now with some groups like Mylan Hayes Family and the Wisnets and Mark Trammell
Mhm.
Quartet and
Yeah,
Jim and Melissa Brady. They go around. And one thing that I like, and if I talk too much, just throw up your hands. But
go for it, man. Go for it.
you know, you know me, and anybody that's watching this knows me, that I have zero tolerance for getting into the worship wars of like what kind of music to use in churches. I mean, I love God's
Right,
music,
right, right.
but obviously I tend to go Southern gospel, and my favorite type of church worship is traditional hymn singing. I love the hymns. I love the depth of the lyrics in the hymns. I love the musical composition of the hymns. And Gerald has done this gospel music hymn sing to reintroduce, so to speak, because a lot of churches don't use them anymore. And he's also they bridged out a ministry to put the hymns and DVDs and CDs into nursing homes and Alzheimer care units and places like that all over the country. But
Mhm.
I went a few months back with Jason Baines went with me. We went to the hymn sing up in Coleman, Alabama. And yes, they sang the hymns, but Gerald led that night as a church service, an act of worship. He led the congregation in worshiping. It's not just a preference. It's not because he wants to sing them because they're pretty. He is spirit led and very worshipful. I love the way that he leads with. I've seen him in a couple of instances. And y'all, if you haven't been to the National Quartet Convention, you ought to go. If you love Southern gospel music and you can go, you ought to go.
Absolutely.
But you have 6 nights of music where there are about what, Neal, about 15 groups each night that sing for a period of time.
Yeah, just
And
one after the other, after the other, after the other.
Yeah, and the board puts this together, and it's a thankless task because you cannot make everybody happy. Everybody has a favorite group. Everybody has preferences, and
Yeah.
there's been 2 different occasions that I have witnessed fans. I'll put quotes fans absolutely just nailing Gerald at the product table about
Goodness.
board decisions and stuff like that.
Right.
And the thing that really impressed me, we're called to be salt and light as ministers of the gospel. We're called to shine the light of Jesus everywhere we go. And I'll be honest with you, one of those in particular, I probably wouldn't have handled as well as Gerald did just because of my little banny hen personality that I've got. But, Gerald was so gracious and so loving to that person, gave him a straight answer, explained everything and the whys and very gracious, but showed me a lot of integrity because some people who are in those positions maybe don't always lead with integrity and like to do backboard room stuff and just not be point blank about it and just kind of go on their way. And I was really impressed with that. Gerald is another one that puts time. I've seen him with people taking time with young people, encouraging young people. He's been an encourager to young artists, especially like the Mylan Hayes family and some of those up and coming young folks singing. He's a huge encourager. I just think he's a great ambassador for Southern gospel music. Up through the years, do you have any Gerald stories or been around him much? Yeah,
I actually do have one Gerald story that came to mind. I mean, other than first time I remember seeing him live was at the Oak Mountain Amphitheater in Pelham, Alabama.
Mhm.
And it was in the days, of course, George and Glenn and Gerald playing piano and Mark Trammell and Danny Funderburk. And George called the young guys up to sing a song, and Mark and Danny and Gerald stepped up and sang Land of the Living.
Yes,
And
sir.
I mean, of course, Danny blew the top of it with that tenor, and Gerald's huge voice from,
Yeah.
the little bitty guy was up there on that piano and just blew you away with the power of that voice.
Yeah.
But another story, the one I was really going to share was a big thing to do in the National Quartet Convention a lot of times, especially back when it was in Louisville, is, it'd get over after midnight some nights, and you'd be hungry. A lot of people be hungry. They go hang out places. And there was a particular Steak and Shake location. I can't say that because corporate sponsor, all that. Yeah, I can. It's a Steak and Shake in Louisville, Kentucky. And that's a place where we would always like to go. And a lot of the artists would come in there. I mean, that's not why we went. First time we went, hey, there's so-and-so. Hey, we realized a lot of them came too.
Right.
We were in there one night. It was usually packed at 1 a.m. From everybody leaving convention. And we came in one night, and Loretta and I were seated, and our friend that were with us were seated like in separate tables close to each other, just so we could go ahead and be seated. And our friends got waited on and got, actually got their food out. Some other people that came in after us was waited on. Well, over to our right was Gerald Wolfe. And I can't even remember. It was some more of Greater Vision, I believe, but I can't even remember who else was with him. But he was observant. And we didn't say a word, but we had been there probably a little over 30 minutes sitting there, and my wife and I hadn't been waited on at all. We were just there, and I guess we've been overlooked by a server, and a server, of course, they were almost done when we got there. Gerald and the people at his table, they were almost done, but they were still sitting there that whole time. And one of the servers went up to him and said, "Sir, is there anything else I can do for you?" He said, "There sure is." Said, "You can come right over here and give these people right here some service. They've been sitting there quite a while, and just step right over there and help them. Why don't you?" I just made an impression that he was observant enough that these two, he didn't know me, but these two were sitting there, and he observed that they had been skipped, and he took the opportunity and said, "Go over there and serve them. Why don't you?"
Yeah.
Me and my wife have always remembered that.
And you made a big point because you said he didn't know you, and the same. I've mentioned that a time or two about just some of the times and me not really having a big relationship or a reason to have a relationship. And that's the thing about a lot of those within the Southern gospel industry. Look, yeah, I mean, yeah, is there some popularity that comes with it? Well, sure, within the fan base, but it's not like you're going to be on national TV. You may think that there's big salaries involved with Southern gospel music. There is not. They are very meager salaries for most of these artists that are traveling around. And I mean, basically, they have to have spouses that provide a lot of benefits and a whole lot of supplemental income just to go minister. And just that, though, that they do it for the love of God, first of all, and to promote Jesus Christ and to spread the gospel, but they love the people. That's one theme that I see in Southern gospel music, that by and large, I mean, there's going to be some exceptions, but by and large, they're in it for the right reasons. And Gerald shows that to me. And you mentioned his big voice. And that's one thing, and it's a matter of prayer list I think about a lot. But Gerald, in the last few years, started having some medical issues, and I can't remember the name of the condition, but there's something about the muscles in the throat that there's a condition that deteriorates, they weaken, and that beautiful booming voice has been, at least for the moment, taken. He can't really sing anymore. He struggles to talk. Basically whispering is his best voice right now, but he still serves the Lord with gladness in his heart and leading and encouraging and playing that piano for Greater Vision and smiling. But this is one of my all-time favorite Southern gospel cuts. One of my all-time favorite songs is Bill Gaither's "The Longer I Serve Him." And Greater Vision put out a project several years ago they called Quartets, where they had guest bass singers to make a quartet through all the songs. Yeah. And the last song on that album, Gerald takes the lead and sings "The Longer I Serve Him." And I can have bias, I guess, here, but I think it's one of the most amazing vocal performances on a cut that I've ever heard, and just love it to death. So you got that one spun up to share?
Ready to go. Greater Vision. Gerald Wolf taking the lead with "The Longer I Serve Him, the Sweeter He Grows."
Yeah.
The sweeter he grows. Since I started for the kingdom, since my life he controls, since I gave my heart to Jesus, the longer I serve him, the sweeter he grows. The longer I serve him, the sweeter he grows. The more that I love him, more joy he the sweeter he grows. Every need he is supplying, plenteous grace he bestows. Every day my way gets brighter the longer I serve him, the sweeter he grows. The longer I serve him, the sweeter he grows. The more that I love him, more joy he bestows. Each day is like heaven, my heart overflows. The longer I serve him, the sweeter he grows. Sweeter, the longer I serve him, the sweeter he grows.
I tell you what, if that doesn't light your wood, the fire, your wood is wet.
Indeed. Man, that just puts a nice calming on the whole thing. And that voice, wow. Remind me, who was that? Gene McDonald singing bass? Or who was that bass on that one? Do you remember?
Pretty sure that was Mr. Ed O'Neill.
Ed O'Neill. Okay. All right. I couldn't remember. Yeah, like you said, they had a different bass singer on every song on that project. But, oh, yeah, what a voice. Gerald Wolf. Man, so yeah, I think we'll do one more here. What do you think about that picture? Is that more your style as far as the verticalness of that particular?
Well, yeah, you see,
person you're standing by?
that's really the reason that I like Gerald so much, is because when I stand by him, we're kindred spirits there. So yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I got you. Yeah, man. So yeah, we've had a good time tonight talking about our heroes. Now we're going to leave you with one more here before we get away. But we do want you to remember that singing that we keep telling you about, July 23rd, Fayette Civic Center. We're going to be bringing in the Lefevre Quartet out of Atlanta, Georgia.
Woohoo.
And we plan to have some of them on here with us, within the month before that. And Chosen Witness will sing a few, Faithful Friends will sing a few, and then we'll have Lefevre Quartet there at Fayette Civic Center, Fayette, Alabama, 6 p.m. on July the 23rd. Won't cost you a dime to get in, no tickets. Don't worry about that. Just come as you are and join us that night. And we're gonna have a good time. I can guarantee you that. We're gonna have a good time. So you come and be a part of that good time and share in it. One more. We've talked tonight about, of course, George Yance, Glenn Payne, what heroes they were. We've talked about Mr. Jake Hess. We've talked about, I know you mentioned Vestal.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned some others. We also played a song by, of course, Arthur Rice. And yeah, what great voices, what great men and women, Vestal, have been in this industry, and what a legacy, those that are already gone have left behind, and those others, when their time comes, what a legacy they'll leave as well.
Yeah.
And then of course Gerald Wolf, and from my side, I kind of talked more about the local people in my life. My dad, always my favorite singer of a Southern gospel song, Joe Champion. Talked about Mr. Don Shepard that sang with the Columbians as well, and the Bama Boys. And then I also talked about Mr. Pat and Mr. Irby Bryant, who were both basically featured on the same song. There's a difference by the Bryant brothers. An impact they had on our lives growing up. And then there's one more that I want to share. So we're going to end with the Gerald and Gerald show. How about that?
All
This
right.
next one is not necessarily a local one. This man traveled all over the world for 63 years, singing full-time Southern gospel music. None
Mm.
other than Mr. Gerald Williams of the
Yes.
Melody Boys Quartet out of Little Rock, Arkansas. That is another one that was just so nice, so
Yep.
personable, so encouraging every time I ever saw him anywhere from the time I first met him. You know, how many people does a man like Gerald Williams that travels this entire country and even world singing does he meet? He called me by my name every time I saw him from the very first time I ever met him and shook his hand. And I just loved it. It was almost like sitting in a Sunday school class if you got to just sit around and listen to Mr. Gerald tell stories. You know, I just love to do that. Just listening to him tell. Now, they weren't always Bible stories. They were just stories about his life and gospel music, but I love to do that. But what a tremendous singer. Not
Ooh,
just a
mercy.
bass singer, but just what a tremendous singer. Was he the lowest that ever lived? No. Could he flat rattle the windows? Yes. And
Yep.
always loved it. You remember? You got any memory particular, Mr.
Yeah.
Gerald Williams?
Oh yes, but when the Melody Boys came, and of course it was Jonathan Sawry and Mike Franklin. I think when I saw them the first time, Jeremy Raines had taken the baritone slot, but
Mhm.
I was
Yeah.
mesmerized. I would say that Gerald Williams is probably the best bass singer that not a whole lot of folks have heard about, and that's not a slight. It's just the Melody Boys Quartet never had those big platforms like some of the other groups did. And Gerald's a 2006 inductee into the Southern Gospel Music Association Hall of Fame, and just an amazing man. He was kind to me, young adult, when I first got around him. Um, and yeah, I mean, just at that point in time, he was just a smiling, happy-go-lucky, encouraging grandpa. I mean, kind of like figure when I was around him. But yeah, I love to hear him. I have no idea what you're going to play. My favorite thing that I think I ever heard him sing is probably the most difficult song that the Melody Boys Quartet sang is a cappella song, "Pray," which he did a lot of boom boom booming on. Like
Oh,
the old bass, doing kind of the bass guitar type boom 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 line on there. But
oh yeah,
just
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and they put out a classics hymn project. Um, I don't know what year that came out, but there was maybe 20 hymns or so on that, and there
Right.
was a couple one I think maybe. Oh, is it something? I'm free. Thank God I'm free.
Hmm. Yeah.
You talking about hitting some low notes? He hit some low
Yeah.
ones on that now, brother. He was down there in some low registers on that project.
For sure. Yeah. And Mr. Gerald has retired from full time, but he didn't miss a beat. He went straight from full time gospel music to singing with a regional quartet there in the Little Rock, Arkansas area, the Kinsmen. And so he still, to this day, every weekend is still singing bass, Southern gospel music. I did not have a picture prepared to show when we played the song, but I wanted you to know this is who we're talking about right here, Mr. Gerald Williams. And this is a snip of his website, geraldwilliamsmusic.com. You can go there, see lots of pictures over his career. You can actually get to some of the products, his books, and that he's written, and some of the CDs. There's some good videos there of Mr. Gerald. And so go check that out. Appearances, you'll see appearances of the Kinsman Quartet that he's still traveling with. So this is a man that we're talking about, and what a joy he has been to know over these years, and it's still a joy, still a smile on his face every time we get to see him, which is not as often as we once did since he's not traveling as much. But yeah, just what a joy it's been over the years to know Mr. Gerald and to be able to share time with him. So the song that I wanted to share of Mr. Gerald was a song that actually his son wrote. And okay, here goes my memory again. I can't remember his son's name. His son is a bass singer as well. He sings bass in regional quartets. And I'm pretty sure I've got this right. This is a song that he wrote that Mr. Gerald recorded with the Melody Boys on the Sing Me a Song album.
Okay.
And this is just one that always comes to mind because I thought he did such a great job on the song entitled The Well of Grace.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going to have to talk just a little bit longer because I'm going to have to share the screen again. Chris, I'll be so glad to have you back.
You're doing good, brother.
But
You're doing good.
let's do that, and let's do that, and let's play the Melody Boys featuring Mr. Gerald Williams singing "Well of Grace."
There's a well that I go to when I'm feeling low, and the water in this well, it soothes my troubled soul. It was there I met my Savior. I saw the love upon his face. Yes, I met him at the well of grace. At the well of grace, Jesus freed me from my sin, and he took away the heartache that I had deep within. So if you have a problem that you can't seem to face, my Lord will meet you at the well of grace. Now upon lonely Golgotha, my Lord was hung that day, with the spear thrust in his side, as the soldier walked away. But the blood he shed on Calvary, the salvation of this race, it's still flowing at the well of grace. At the well of grace, Jesus freed me from my sin, and he took away the heartache that I had deep within. So if you have a problem that you can't seem to face, my Lord will meet you at the well of grace. My Lord will meet you at the well of grace.
Hey, I like that harmony on the end there. The Melody Boys Quartet and "Well of Grace" featuring Mr. Gerald Williams.
Good stuff.
Yes, one of the finest singers that ever stood on a Southern gospel stage right there. We love you, Mr. Gerald. Well, I believe that it's about done, Scott. What do you think? If Chris was here, he'd say he's about ready to go lay down. So,
Well, I don't quite bed as early as I used to, but I turn into a pumpkin about 9 o'clock. So we're getting close. We're getting close. But I tell you, I could do it all night. This is awesome. I really enjoy it. I don't know, you guys on your control board, y'all don't see like how many total we've had or anything like that join us. I know I hadn't seen as many comments tonight.
Right, right. We don't see a complete number. No, we can take
Okay.
a glimpse at any given time, and
Mhm.
there's definitely been people on here all night. It's been in double digits at times. It comes and goes, and a lot of people watch it after the fact
Yeah.
when it gets
Yeah.
posted afterwards. People watch it. So, and for all of you that wasn't here when it was live, hey, we're glad you're watching now, and we want you to write down July 23rd, Fayette Civic
Yes.
Center, Fayette, Alabama, 6:30 p.m. Lefevre Quartet. There you go. One more time.
I tell you what, because I was wondering, and I don't think tonight is the night to do it. But I've got some freebies at some point that we need to. Maybe we can work that in when we start getting some of the Lefevre guys on, and maybe we can build up an audience. But I've got some tickets, actually, a couple of Sunday night tickets to the National Quartet Convention. So maybe.
Oh yeah. That'd
Maybe
be
down the road we can do something and get up a pile of folks and have them do something to get in the drawing, and we'll give that away.
Okay. So yeah, you folks that maybe watch it after the fact, hey, tune in the next few weeks live, and because the giveaways are really only for those that are on there live. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's great. Yeah, we'll pull you back in here and let you do that. That'd be
Okay.
wonderful.
Or y'all can do it. I'll provide the two tickets. But yeah,
Okay.
either way, well, however you want
Okay.
to do it.
All right. Yeah. One other thing before we go, and that is we talked about the National Quartet Convention. Well, there's a lot of good big events in Southern gospel music, but another one is just right around the corner, and that's the
Yes.
Memphis Quartet Show in
Yes.
Memphis, Tennessee. I mean, it's happening next week, like starts, I believe,
Man.
next Wednesday night, the 15th, I believe. And yeah, you're talking on that particular program and on that stage is all male quartets for that whole time, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and a couple of matinees thrown in there as well. So
Yeah.
you want to hear some Southern Gospel Quartet music, Memphis is a place to be next week, the Memphis Quartet Show. Look it up on the internet. I'm sure you can still pick
Mhm.
up a ticket and be there. If you get it beforehand, it's a little cheaper. It'll cost you a little more at the door, but you can still order them, I'm sure, and pick them up there. And what a great venue there at the Cannon Center, at the Memphis Quartet Show. So yeah, that's something else. Y'all come on in there and enjoy it. I hope to be there. I have to say, Lord willing, because we don't know what
Right.
might take place. We don't all, but we do have plans to be there. We've been there the last several years, and we've really enjoyed it, being a fan of the music.
Man.
And so yeah, remember the Memphis Quartet Show next week, July 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, Wednesday, Thursday,
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, I'm thankful about that. Y'all letting me tag along on that. I'm looking forward to it, brother.
Oh yeah, yeah, we're gonna have a good time. And so, with that said, I think Chris would about right now say, "Are all minds clear?" So, is your mind clear tonight,
My,
Scott?
my mind is clear most of the time. I think my
Okay.
hamster is slowing down every day that goes by. So yes, I'm good and clear, and I've enjoyed the far out of it tonight. And just thank you for letting me spend time with you and
All
everybody
right.
else.
All righty. Yeah. Thanks for filling in. And yeah, we'll be back next time. Chris will be back in here with us. And hey, you'll see Scott on here some more. There ain't no doubt. He's the third champion brother. So yeah, right here on ChampCast, Champion Brothers, let's talk some Southern gospel. Thank y'all.
Thank you.